Here are the biggest gaming leaks and news you've probably missed this week.
Ah man, you can practically hear the collective sigh echoing across the internet from PlayStation fans right now. Summer Games Fest 2025 just wrapped up, a glorious buffet of new announcements and first looks, but there was a big, hairy, adamantium-clawed elephant missing in the room: Marvel's Wolverine. After radio silence at the recent Sony State of Play, fans were clinging to the hope of seeing Logan in action at the main Summer Games Fest show. But nope, nada, zilch. This game was first teased way back in September 2021 by Insomniac Games, the same wizards who gave us those incredible Spider-Man games. That's 4 years ago, folks, and we've seen precisely nothing official since that initial reveal. Sure, we had that massive Insomniac leak that spilled the beans on Wolverine and the future of the Spider-Man series. That kind of thing can throw a wrench in development, maybe even send the tea. And back to the drawing board to cook up some fresh surprises. But the silence since then is getting deafening, and understandably, fans are starting to sweat. Think about it. October this year marks 2 whole years since Marvel's Spider-Man 2 hit our consoles, and it hasn't seen any major DLC love like the first game did. So it's not crazy for folks to be itching for some news. Any news from Insomniac is no news good news in this case. Maybe they're cooking up something truly spectacular behind the scenes, or maybe development is facing some unexpected hurdles. Either way, the lack of Wolverine at these major showcases is definitely raising eyebrows and fueling the worry that this highly anticipated title might be stuck in development limbo. Let's hope Insomniac throws us a bone soon. The whole thing kicked off with Jeff Keighley getting everyone hyped, talking about how long we've been waiting for Death Stranding 2 since they first announced it. Then Hideo Kojima, the big boss himself, came out. He was pretty real about how tough it was making the game, especially because of the pandemic. He actually had to change the whole story to be about new ways people connect, which is pretty wild when you think about it. He even mentioned how much he loves Los Angeles and how it inspires his work. And get this, he showed off a brand new poster for the game by an artist named Tableau. Cool stuff. The people behind the game. Next up, we heard from some of the awesome actors and people working on the game. Elle Fanning, who plays a character named Tomorrow, sent a video message saying how excited she was to be part of it. Then, Shioli Kutsuna, she plays Rainey. Troy Baker, who's back as Higgs, but maybe different this time. And Woodkid, the music guy, all came out with Kojima. Shioli talked about how she got picked for her role and what it was like. Troy gave us hints about Higgs and how the character has changed. And Woodkid explained how the game's music isn't just a regular soundtrack. It actually changes based on what you're doing in the game, which sounds super immersive. Sneak peeks at gameplay and story. This was the really good part. They showed 2 quick video clips. One was with Tomorrow and Rainey, hinting at their relationship. The other was an action-packed scene showing off Tomorrow's special moves. Then they did a live gameplay demo on a PlayStation 5 Pro. We got to see the very beginning of the game, like a tutorial that teaches you the basics. Woodkid's music was playing, and you could hear it changing as the player moved around. They also showed how the map can actually change in real time because of disasters like earthquakes. That was wild. And yes, you still get to interact with Lou, which is always a sweet moment. Later in the demo, we saw a battle scene. It looked like you could sneak around or go all out with new weapons, like a blood boomerang and a tar cannon. They even showed a fight with a character named Neil. Sounds intense. Music and more. Woodkid announced that the game's soundtrack album would be available to pre-order and would come out on June 13th, even before the game itself. They also gave us a peek behind the scenes of recording a song called To the Wilder. And guess what? Elle Fanning sings a version of it too. Kojima hinted that her version would be in a really emotional part of the game. Kojima then dropped another bombshell, a World Strand tour after the game comes out. He's going to visit 12 countries, including places like Sydney, Tokyo, Paris, and London. Plus, there's even going to be an orchestral tour starting in November. The cast shared their final thoughts, talking about how cool it was to work with Kojima, and Kojima himself wrapped things up by bringing it back to the main idea of Death Stranding 2. He said even making the game was a journey of connecting, especially after everything that happened with the pandemic. On the Beach launches exclusively on PlayStation 5 on June 26th. Mark your calendars. It sounds like they packed a ton into that presentation, right? What part are you most excited about? Well, look who's been on a shopping spree again. It seems like the Chinese media giant Tencent has its eyes everywhere, and now they've reportedly snatched up a chunky 16% stake in Arrowhead Game Studio, the mad lads behind the absolute chaos that is Helldivers 2. This news just dropped, dated June 6, 2025, but apparently this deal went down way back in July 2024, not long after Helldivers 2 exploded onto the scene. We're talking an $83 million investment for that slice of Arrowhead, valuing the whole studio at a cool $532 million with a healthy operating profit to boot. Not bad for a studio that initially had only 20-ish people working working on unleashing galactic democracy. Now, the big question, what does this mean for us, the players, and for Arrowhead? According to Johan Pilestedt, the co-founder and CCO over there, it probably won't mess with the day-to-day blasting of bugs and bots. The galactic war will likely continue as planned. However, he did mention that this partnership could open doors for Arrowhead to tap into the massive Chinese gaming market. Smart move, right? More players, more potential for galactic domination. In-game, of course. But let's be real, this is just another notch on Tencent's already crowded belt of investments. These guys are like a silent Pac-Man, gobbling up shares in everything that moves in the gaming world. We're talking minority stakes in Remedy, Alan Wake, From Software, Elden Ring, Don't Nod, Life is Strange, and they straight up own Riot Games, League of Legends, and a majority of Supercell, Clash of Clans. And just this year, they grabbed a big chunk of a Ubisoft subsidiary focused on Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, and Rainbow Six. It's a bit much, isn't it? For those of us who aren't exactly thrilled about massive corporations swallowing up independent studios and holding stakes in half the industry, this isn't exactly sunshine and rainbows. It's hard to keep track of who owns what these days. While it might not change our Helldivers 2 experience right now, it does raise questions about the future and the increasing consolidation in the gaming world. Are we heading towards a future where a handful of mega corporations control everything we play? Let me know your thoughts on this down below. So, head of Xbox Phil Spencer recently confirmed their plans for the brand's 25th anniversary in 2026. This announcement came at the Xbox Game Showcase, an event known for revealing upcoming titles. A key highlight of this year's showcase for Xbox Game Pass subscribers was the number of games announced for day one release on the service. These include the new Fable game, a new Forza title, and Gears of War E-Day. Beyond these three, Spencer also hinted at the return of another classic franchise that has been with Xbox since its inception. This has led many to speculate that a new Halo game could also be part of the lineup for that anniversary year. The new Fable game is in development at Playground Games and is expected to build upon the series' established action RPG gameplay. Gears of War E-Day is set as a prequel, focusing on the early experiences of characters like Dom and Marcus. Details about the new Forza game are less concrete, with possibilities including Forza Horizon 6 or a new Forza Motorsport entry. Similarly, the specifics of the returning classic, assumed to be Halo, are not yet fully known, although rumors suggest a potential remake of the original Halo, Combat Evolved, using Unreal Engine 5. Okay, so the winds of Hyrule are shifting. Sony just dropped the news that the live-action Legend of Zelda movie is getting pushed back. Originally slated for March 26, 2027, it's now set to hit theaters on May 7, 2027. Apparently, this isn't some dramatic studio clash or creative meltdown. The word is, it's just for production reasons. This flick is a collaboration between Nintendo, Avi Arad's production company, and Sony handling distribution. Even the big guns, Shigeru Miyamoto himself, is producing alongside Arad. Miyamoto took to the digital scrolls of Twitter, or X, whatever we're calling it these days, to explain the delay. He said they needed a few extra weeks in the hothouse to make the film as good as it can be. Fair enough, right? A few extra weeks isn't the end of the world if it means a better movie. He mentioned it's a bit later than they initially planned, and they want to use that extra time to polish things. Wes Ball, who directed the latest Planet of the Apes movie, is helming this Zelda adaptation. It's based on the classic Nintendo franchise that's been around since 1986, focusing on Link, Princess Zelda, and their ongoing battle against the evil Ganon to save Hyrule. Interestingly, the original March release date would have put Zelda in direct competition with the next Godzilla x Kong movie. Talk about a clash of titan. It also would have been sandwiched around the release of the fourth Sonic the Hedgehog film. So this delay might actually give the Zelda movie a bit more breathing room in the crowded blockbuster landscape. Okay, so the whispers from the shadows are getting louder about the next Assassin's Creed game, codenamed Hexi, and it sounds like Ubisoft might be about to shake things up in a pretty significant way. Remember back in 2022 when they teased a couple of new Creed games, Red, which we now know is Assassin's Creed Shadows, and this mysterious Hex? Well, while we've seen plenty of samurai action with Shadows, Hexi has been shrouded in secrecy, only hinted at as being a very different type of Assassin's Creed experience. Now, a new rumor is swirling. And if it's true, it's a game changer. Apparently, Hexi will feature a female protagonist named Elsa, and the story sounds dark, like really dark, revolving around her seeking revenge after her mother was executed during witch trials. Creepy, right? But here's the kicker, the part that makes this news particularly noteworthy. There's no mention of a dual male protagonist alongside Elsa. Apparently, the numbers consistently show that male protagonists are preferred by a significant chunk of the player base, hence the usual thoughtful approach of giving players a choice. So, if this rumor about Elsa being the sole protagonist in Hexi is true, it signals a potentially bold move from Ubisoft. Are they finally ready to buck that trend and trust a female lead to carry a mainline entry on her own? Or could there still be a surprise male character reveal down the line? Given the dark, haunting tone of the game, supposedly revolving around witch trials, a solo female protagonist could actually fit the atmosphere perfectly. It could offer a very different perspective and narrative than what we're used to in Assassin's Creed. I'm definitely intrigued to see if this rumor pans out. What do you guys think? Would you be down for a solo female lead in a mainline Assassin's Creed game with this kind of dark setting? Oh snap! Looks like even superheroes can't resist a good brawl. Skybound Games just dropped a surprise at Microsoft's Xbox Games Showcase, Invincible vs. a 2D tag team fighter based on the gloriously violent world of Robert Kirkman's Invincible. Now, the first thing that jumps out, this thing is coming to PlayStation 5 as well. Take that. Console wars? Seems like Omni-Man and Invincible aren't picking sides when it comes to platforms. It's also hitting Windows PC and Xbox Series X in 2026. The trailer, from what I'm hearing, promises some seriously destructive 3 versus 3 action. We're talking heroes and villains from the Invincible universe duking it out. Omni-Man, Invincible himself, Adam Eve, Thula, Bulletproof, and probably a whole bunch more. And yes, in true Invincible fashion, it's gonna be bloody. Like paint the screen red levels of bloody. They're definitely staying true to the source material there. What's even cooler is that some of the voice actors from the animated series, like the legendary J.K. Simmons, who voices Omni-Man, are seemingly reprising their roles for the game. That's a huge win for fans of the show. Skybound's been dabbling in the Invincible universe with a visual novel about Adam Eve and a mobile RPG, but this is their first proper fighting game, and it arrives hot on the heels of another superhero tag fighter announcement. Marvel Tokon, Fighting Souls, which is even upping the ante with 4 versus 4 battles. Talk about a superhero fighting game, boom! I gotta say, the prospect of an over-the-top bloody Invincible fighting game has me intrigued. The tag team mechanic sounds like it could lead to some crazy combos and strategic gameplay. Plus, knowing J.K. Simmons might be yelling "Think, Mark" while you're getting your face smashed in just adds another layer of awesome. Definitely one to keep an eye on for 2026. So, Mind's Eye is here. And the truth? It's messier than my apartment after a weekend bender. The gaming world's been whispering about this one for ages, and now that real players are finally diving in, the early verdicts are brutal. We're talking journalists struggling to get review copies. Red flag number 1, right? Thankfully, we're finally getting the straight dope, and the million-dollar question burns. Should you slap down your hard-earned cash now, or are you just lining someone else's pockets for a broken promise? Maybe it's time to just walk away, wallet intact. But first, the elephant in the room. What the hell even is this game? Because if you're expecting the sprawling chaos of a GTA, you're about to face plant harder than a PS5 on concrete. Alright, so here's the part that's actually really cool about Mind's Eye, and I don't think enough people are talking about this. On PC, you can literally pause the game anywhere, open up this build menu, and just start creating. Right there, in the exact spot you were in. Want to drop some enemies, set up a mission, make a race? Go for it. And once you're happy with it, you can publish that creation. Now here's the kicker. The devs will curate the best ones and share them across all platforms. So PS5 and Xbox players, yeah, they get access to that too. That means on top of the 20-hour story campaign, there's going to be this never-ending stream of new content. It's basically like Mario Maker meets Watch Dogs meets open world chaos. At launch, there are already dev-made missions, checkpoint races, drone races, timed challenges, and horde modes where you survive waves of enemies and scavenge for better weapons. You've got drones, nano grenades, turrets, and some wild guns. And the side missions, some of them don't even feature the main character. You actually play as other story characters, which gives more variety. Visually, the city is insane. Giant skyscrapers, domes blasting ads, and while the map isn't massive, it's packed with unique spots, and you can add to it using the build mode. Like imagine turning a cool rooftop into your own mission hub. You can even link missions with portals and basically make your own campaign. Now yeah, the build tools can get pretty complex if you go deep with objectives and AI, and there's no real tutorial yet, so it's not super beginner friendly, but the foundation is solid, and with updates, they're planning to drop multiplayer this fall, plus a full-blown open-world online game set a year after the events of Mind's Eye. So yeah, it's ambitious as hell. Will they pull it off? We'll see.
You still haven't given us clearance for launch.
And here's the juicy bit. They admit Mind's Eye is on the shorter side, around 15 hours, a blink in today's gaming marathon. And this open world, that's fancy talk for fake. It's a damn linear story, plain and simple. They're trying to spin it, saying the pendulum is swinging back to meaningful, well-paced, well-constructed stories with tension, character development, development, tender moments, and then moments of spectacle and drama. Sounds like a decent sales pitch for that moment you're slumped on the couch after a soul-crushing day, craving a story that respects your precious time. But the open world they're dangling? Don't expect it to be brimming with life. If you think you're getting a sprawling playground, prepare for a sandbox with no toys. But if you go in, knowing it's a 15-hour ride with a mostly on-rails experience, like the original Mafia where the city was just scenery for the missions, maybe, just maybe, you'll find a flicker of enjoyment. This one dude snagged an early copy, verified, thankfully, and his experience mirrors the leaked gameplay I had the displeasure of witnessing. 8 to 10 hours of it, a hefty chunk considering the game's length. But let's get to his initial review, hot off the presses after the day one patch. He says, been playing for about an hour and you can definitely see improvements. Driving is less of a drunken roller coaster, character animations are smoother, and overall it feels less broken. But hold your horses because the dreaded FPS drops are still lurking. He did manage to finish the story though, saying it was good and really hooked me. So far, he says, it's a great game with his technical issues, which will be patched. Famous last word, right? But here's the kicker. Our reviewer himself admits the gameplay needs fine-tuning, pleading, please keep in mind that I don't want to spread hate against Build a Rocket Boy. All I want is to share my experience with Mind's Eye so far, but it really isn't finished yet. Driving around, you might as well be navigating a broken dream. Invisible barriers, cars floating off the road. It's a technical circus. Visually, it looks sharper, and the graphics are decent, but the lighting indoors is wonky. The camera has a mind of its own, getting stuck in ceilings during tight driving sequences. Even after getting the patches, the game is fighting against too many problems at the same time. Only the future will show us where Mind's Eye will get to. My rating now is 6.5 in total. Not exactly a glowing endorsement. All right, let's talk Xbox Showcase. And yeah, there's a lot. So, kicking things off, The Outer Worlds 2 finally has a release date. October 29th. It's coming to Xbox Series, PC via Steam, Xbox, and Battle.net, and plot twist, even PS5. Game Pass? Yep, it's there on day one. You're playing as an Earth Directorate agent, dropped into Arcadia to investigate some rifty nightmare tearing reality apart. Classic science fiction chaos. Corporations like Auntie's Choice are sticking their noses in. But hey, word is, you might be able to team up with them. Gameplay showed off some ridiculous new weapons, slow-mo combat, and get this, you can mess with those rifts using some sort of device to create jumpable platforms. Think Doom meets Quantum Break. Ninja Gaiden 4, and it's slicing onto Xbox, PS5, and PC this October 21st. The trailer, pure chaos. You've got the new guy, Yakumo, dual-wielding a rocket-powered hammer and a drill staff like he's in an anime boss fight. Then boom, Ryu Hayabusa shows up, slicing fools with the dragon katana and dropping Azuna slams from the sky. Is he fully playable? No clue yet, but the action looks clean. Clockwork Revolution is still looking dope. Inxile gave us a fresh gameplay trailer showing off the Clockpunk world, the wild cast, and how deep the RPG systems go. We're talking full character creation, dialogue choices, branching consequences, and weapon mods. Still no release date, but yeah, it's one of those keep your eye on it titles for sure. But here's where things get a little more interesting. After the main showcase, they did this dedicated deep dive presentation for The Outer Worlds 2, kind of like what they did with Starfield before. Same format, a solid 40 minutes to just lay it all out, show you the world, the gameplay, everything. It's basically their final sales pitch. You've got millions of people watching across platforms. This is the moment to convince everyone that the game is worth their time, right? And honestly, what they showed was good. It wasn't bad, but it didn't blow me away either. Like, I watched it and thought, yeah, this is exactly what I expected from Obsidian. Quirky, charming, slightly janky, but fun. It's that AA lane they live in, and that's fine. Not everything needs to be God of War Ragnarok. But then I saw the price, $80 freaking dollars. $80. Dude, what? I'm not even trying to clown on the devs or the game, seriously, but $80 for Outer Worlds 2? That's nuts. Like, when did we decide this was okay? I thought the whole idea was that only the absolute top-tier games, the GTAs, the crazy prestige releases, would jump to $80. Not this. Not a janky space RPG with funny dialogue and B-tier gunplay. And again, no shade, I like these games, but let's be honest about what they are. If The Outer Worlds 2 is $80, what the hell are they gonna charge for Elder Scrolls 6? $100? A kidney? And then you've got people online being like, well, actually, I'll just play it on Game Pass. Cool. So basically, we've reached the part of the cycle where insane pricing is fine, because you don't have to pay it directly. You just subscribe, which is exactly the point. That $80 price tag isn't there to make you buy the game. It's there to scare you into Game Pass. Like, hey, this looks a bit steep, huh? Wouldn't you rather just pay $15 and get it instantly? It's all all psychology. They anchor the price so high that Game Pass starts to look like a steal. It's literally what Apple does. They drop a $1,300 phone just so the $1,000 version feels like a deal. It's manipulation, plain and simple. And you know what? It works because people aren't gonna boycott the game. They're just gonna shrug and subscribe. But here's the thing. Some people don't want a subscription. Some people want to own the game, or they prefer to buy on Steam or PlayStation or whatever. And those people are now expected to cough up $80 for something that, let's be real, doesn't look like an $80 experience. Not in scale, not in polish, not in tech. In Australia, it's like $120. That's wild. You could buy a whole secondhand console for that. And it just blows my mind that we're all fine with this now. Like, I remember when Nintendo tried this nonsense with Mario Kart and people flipped out. But here we are again. And this time, it's Xbox doing it. And most folks are just hand-waving it. Oh, but Game Pass softens the blow. Yeah, but that doesn't undo the price. That doesn't make the number disappear. If anything, it just helps Microsoft's plan work better. They want you to see that big scary number, panic a little, and run to Game Pass. And after a few months of forgetting to cancel your sub, boom, they've made the full price off you anyway. Probably more. It's brilliant business. I'll give them that. But it sucks for consumers because every time we let this slide, that $80 becomes the new normal. It won't just be Outer Worlds 2. It'll be the next mid-tier game and the next. And then suddenly $80 is standard, not for premium stuff, for everything. And when you try to call it out, people act like you're overreacting. Like, no, dude, this is how it starts. This is how pricing creep gets normalized. It's not just one game, it's a shift in the baseline. If GTA 6 drops and it's $80, fine. We'll all just sigh and pay it. But this is a mid-size RPG. It should be 60 max, maybe 50. You can't give us B-tier visuals and B-tier combat and then ask for A++ money. Anyway, maybe I'm just losing it. Maybe I'm the only one who sees this and goes, wait, what are we doing? But I hope not. I hope people call it out because we've pushed back before and it's worked. Battlefront 2 microtransactions? But if we stay quiet, this becomes the norm. No questions asked. And that's the part that really pisses me off. Let me know what you think. I'm genuinely curious. Am I tripping? Or is this as ridiculous to you as it is to me? Because I swear, man, I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. Ninja Gaiden 4, and it's slicing onto Xbox, PS5, and PC this October 21st. The trailer, pure chaos. You've got the new guy, Yakumo, dual-wielding a rocket-powered hammer and a drill staff like he's in an anime boss fight. Then boom, Ryu Hayabusa shows up, slicing fools with the dragon katana and dropping Azuna slams from the sky. Is he fully playable? No clue yet, but the action looks clean. Clockwork Revolution is still looking dope. Inxile gave us a fresh gameplay trailer showing off the Clockpunk world, the wild cast, and how deep the RPG systems go. We're talking full character creation, dialogue choices, branching consequences, and weapon mods. Still no release date, but yeah, it's one of those keep your eye on it titles for sure. Surprise, Super Meat Boy is back. And now it's 3D, literally. Super Meat Boy 3D is taking that brutal platforming formula and spinning it into a full 3D world. It still plays like the original. Fast deaths, instant retries, tons of saw blades. But now it's got depth, literally. It's dropping in early 2026 for PC, Xbox, and cloud. Game Freak, the Pokemon folks just pulled a wild card. They announced Beast of Reincarnation, and it's giving off strong Studio Ghibli meets Okami vibes. You play a young girl and her wolf companion, traveling through rice fields and magical forests, reviving nature with your powers. It looks beautiful, chilled out, and kinda mysterious. Drops in 2026. Next up, Chronos, The New Dawn. Bloober Team's back with another horror game, and this one looks like Silent Hill in space. Grimy visuals, freaky monsters, dual timelines, and combat that's way more hands-on this time around. Still no lock date, but they're aiming for fall. Expect PlayStation 5, Xbox, and PC. Remember Project TH? It's now called Mudong Two Hearts. Think modern Korean thriller meets supernatural horror. You play as Gi Jong, a special ops dude, but there's also Gabi, another playable character who you're trying to protect. Rage-infected enemies, tight stealth and CQC combat, and gorgeous environments. Definitely one to watch. Let's talk Gears of War Reloaded. It's a remaster, but a juicy one. Xbox Series XS, PS5, PC, all getting it August 26. 4K assets, 60 FPS in campaign, 120 FPS in multiplayer, all Ultimate Edition content included. Cross-save, cross-play, and just $39.99. Plus, Game Pass, obviously. Then we got Keeper, the new one from Double Fine. It's weird and beautiful. No dialogue, just vibes. You're a walking lighthouse with legs. Yep, and your best friend is a bird. Together, you explore a post-human island and solve puzzles using ancient tech. It's launching October 17th on Xbox and PC. Animo is giving off Pokemon meets Monster Hunter energy. You're a pathfinder exploring a huge world called Ideal, where you befriend and evolve magic magical creatures. There's PvE, PvP, real-time combat, dungeons, puzzles, the works. Dropping in 2026 for Xbox and PC. Then there's Planet of Lana 2, Children of the Leaf. The first one was a sleeper hit, and this sequel is adding stealth, wall jumps, underwater sections, and some new robot mechanics. Coming 2026 to every platform imaginable. Game Pass? You bet. Finally, The Blood of the Dawnwalker, a new dark fantasy RPG from Rebel Wolves, the studio led by ex-Witcher devs, set in a vampire-ridden version of the 14th century Europe. You play Cohen, a half-vampire who can fight during both day and night. Combat looks very Witcher 3. Exploration includes wall running and rooftop hopping, and yeah, it's stylish as hell. Coming 2026. That's the roundup. Let me know what stood out to you, what you're skipping, and which one you're preloading day one. And hey, if you like this kind of breakdown, hit subscribe. All right, here's the million-dollar question. Let's be honest. Sony's been playing with fire for a while now. When they started dropping PlayStation exclusives like Helldivers 2 and Spider-Man 2 on PC, most people saw it as free money, new audience, more sales, hype for the next sequel, all that good stuff. And yeah, on paper, it made total sense. But fast forward to right now, and here's what's actually happening. With these new Xbox handhelds, you can straight up play PlayStation's best games on a device that says Xbox on the box. Like, let that sink in for a second. Sony spent years building up that only on PlayStation magic. Suddenly it's Game Pass, Steam, and Epic all together on a portable, and the PlayStation exclusives are just there. No PlayStation 5 required, just a PC handheld, and you're in. So what should Sony do? Here's the tough part. They've kind of boxed themselves in. If they stop putting games on PC, they lose out on that massive extra revenue. If they keep going, Microsoft keeps piggybacking on their work and pulling PlayStation fans into the Xbox ecosystem through Windows devices. And don't even get me started on the PlayStation Portal. Look, it's fine for what it is, a remote play gadget for your PS5, but it's not a true competitor. It's not standalone, it's not a real gaming handheld, and it sure as hell can't run anything without a PS5 humming in the next room. So, should Sony make their own real handheld again? Honestly, why not? The demand is there, the Switch is a hit, and now Xbox is making moves. Imagine a modern-day PSP or Vita, but with proper access to your digital library, cloud streaming, and a tight link to PSN. People would go nuts. But as long as Sony holds back, they're just letting Microsoft steal the thunder with a device that can play both sides' biggest games. Let's talk about the PlayStation Portal. Sony's weird little gadget that, honestly, nobody really asked for at first, but somehow ended up being a massive hit. Like, it actually broke sales records. And that's wild, considering how skeptical people were when it dropped. So, what is it? The Portal is basically a screen with a DualSense controller split in half around it. That's it. No internal hardware to run games. It just streams your PS5 over Wi-Fi. And yeah, that's where a lot of the early hate came from. People were like, wait, this thing only works if I already have a PS5, and it doesn't even work outside my house unless I set it up right? Sounded super limited. But here's the thing. People bought it anyway. A lot of people. By the end of 2024, around 2 million of these things were sold. That's roughly 3% of all PS5 owners. It even became the best-selling PS5 accessory of the year. So, what happened? Well, for starters, the price was kinda just right. $200. Not cheap, but not crazy either. Especially for folks who already had a PS5 and just wanted to keep playing without hogging the living room TV. Like, imagine your partner wants to watch Netflix and you're in the middle of a game. Boom. Portal lets you keep going without a fight over the remote. Then there's the screen. It's an 8-inch LCD, and it's actually super sharp. Pair that with the same DualSense controls you already know and love, and it starts to feel like a legit handheld experience, even though it's just remote play. But yeah, it's not perfect. It needs strong Wi-Fi. If your connection sucks, your experience is gonna suck too. And because it doesn't play anything natively, like no cloud streaming, no offline games, you're kind of locked into that PS5 ecosystem. Critics pointed all this out, and for good reason. Still, for a very specific kind of player, the one who wants more flexibility around the house, it just made sense. Sony found this niche between a handheld and a streaming device, and it hit hard. So now I'm wondering, was this just a one-off win? Or is Sony quietly setting the stage for something bigger in handheld gaming again? So, here's what's going on. There's been a lot of chatter lately about Sony possibly working on a new handheld. Some folks are calling it the PS Vita 2. Others are throwing around names like PSP3. Whatever it ends up being called, the rumor is it might actually be able to run PS4 games natively, and maybe even some PS5 games too. That's a bold claim. So yeah, let's break this down like we always do. The big idea here is that Sony's supposedly building this thing with some custom AMD hardware inside. Not just another remote play device like the Portal. This one would actually play games directly, no streaming, so you'd be able to take real PlayStation games with you on the go. Imagine booting up Ghost of Tsushima or Spider-Man 2 on a train. That's the dream, right? And honestly, it's not that far-fetched. The Steam Deck proved that handhelds can pack serious power these days. The tech is there, and with how popular the Nintendo Switch still is, Sony jumping back in now wouldn't be the worst idea, especially since they kinda left a hole in the market after the Vita faded out. Plus, think about the library. There are so many PS4 games that would feel right at home on a portable screen. If they get the controls right and keep the experience smooth, it could be a huge win. But, and there's always a but, people are skeptical. Some are worried this might just be Sony trying to chase the Steam Deck's success. Like, instead of making a unique handheld built around original games, it could end up as just a portable PS5 Lite. Big, clunky, short battery life, and kinda missing its own identity. And to make things more confusing, Sony's also been focused on adding PS3 games to PS5 and messing around with streaming options. So, who knows if this handheld idea is even their priority right now. Bottom line, nothing's official. We're deep in rumor territory. But if this actually happens, and it plays PlayStation 4 games straight out of the box, that could be something special. So what do you think? Is Sony finally ready to get handheld gaming right this time? Or are we just getting our hopes up again? If you want to be ahead of all the gaming leaks and news, specifically PlayStation news, time for you to subscribe. And as always, a like on the video is very much appreciated.